Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Definitely. Looks good.
Good. So the sutta I'm going to be reading from is Anguttara Nikaya 7.61, and it's translated as dozing. Dozing as in taking a nap or falling asleep, which we more often than not do on the first and second day of any retreat. This is what Bhante refers to as the uh, second day blues. So I was just going through the different suttas and I just came across this one, and it was interesting because a lot of the solutions and antidotes that we've offered up for how to deal with sloth and torpor are mentioned in the sutta, plus some others that are not. And then it's interesting how the Buddha then goes towards a much deeper teaching. So let me start. Thus have I heard on one occasion the Blessed One was dwelling among the Bhagas at Susumarigara in the deer park at Pesakala Grove. Now on that occasion, the Venerable Moggallana was sitting and dozing at Kalavala Muttagama among the Magadhans. With the divine eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, the Blessed One saw the Venerable Moggallana sitting and dozing. This is interesting because we have Moggallana, who's an arahant, and oftentimes we've heard that arahats do not have sloth and torpor, but it seems like here Moggallana is dozing off. I think it's more physical than it is mental. At least that's what the note says when you go here on 1548, that Moggallana was walking up and down, contemplating all day long or many days, and was tired. And so that could be why he was experiencing this. But if you go back to the supposed 10 fetter model, you will see there that sloth and torpor is not mentioned, or it's not even implied. There is restlessness as something to be let go of. And restlessness here means anxiety about the future, and remorse, which is remorse about the past. Then just as a strong man might extend his drawn in arm or draw in his extended arm, the Blessed One appeared from the deer park at Kala Grove, and reappeared before the Venerable Moggallana. The Blessed One sat down on the seat that was prepared for him and said, "Oh, that's not what. Hold on. Oh. Are you dozing, Moggallana? Are you dozing?" "Yes, Bhante." "Therefore, Moggallana, you should not attend to or cultivate the object that you were attending to when you became drowsy. By such means, it is possible that your drowsiness will be abandoned." So this is the first solution. Very interesting one. He says you should not attend to or cultivate the object that you were attending to when you became drowsy. In other words, could it be that when you were meditating, that the object that you were taking, whether it's the breath, loving kindness, infinite space, whatever it might be, that could have led to the mind experiencing this dozing, this sloth and torpor, this drowsiness? Indeed, there's another sutta in which the Buddha talks about this, and he says that when you over meditate, over concentrate, have too much collectedness, yes, there can be some restlessness, but oftentimes there can also be sloth and torpor, because the mind gets so deep so quickly and so unmoving to the extent that it becomes like a dense field of gravity, and it just sinks and sinks and sinks. And that translates into this sloth and torpor. So the Buddha is saying you should not attend to or cultivate the object that you were attending to when you became drowsy. So let go of that object. Be away from that for a moment and just watch the mind. Watch what's going on. Stop meditating if you must. And then you will see that your mind clears up. Your mind becomes lighter. Your mind becomes brighter. Your mind becomes more elevated. But if you cannot abandon your drowsiness in such a way, you should ponder, examine, and mentally inspect the Dhamma as you have heard it and learned it. By such means, it is possible that your drowsiness will be abandoned. This is the second solution. Very interesting one. If you still can't let go of the sloth and torpor, you should ponder, examine, and mentally inspect the Dhamma as you have learned it, as you have heard it and learned it. This is an interesting trick. So when you are on retreat or when you are on self-retreat, you can do what? If it's not possible for you to let go of the object, take some time away from the practice, and then come back, and you're still experiencing this drowsiness, make an effort to review the things that you have learned in reference to the Dhamma. What does this do? It starts to wipe away the cobwebs in the mind, starts to recirculate energy in the mind, starts to move the cogs and wheels in the mind. And especially when you're doing it with reference to the Dhamma, which is to say, when you reflect on the teachings, when you reflect on your insights, when you reflect on the things that you have not just learned, but intuited, what does it do? It inspires, it invigorates. It says, yeah, this is great, this is wonderful. And you feel elevated, you feel elated, you feel, dare I say, excited to go back and meditate in such a way that it creates a Dhamma buzz in your mind. And this is what we're referring to. But if you cannot abandon your drowsiness in such a way, you should recite in detail the Dhamma as you have learned it or heard it and learned it. By such means, it is possible that your drowsiness will be abandoned. So if you can't reflect and understand what's going on in the mind with reference to the Dhamma, if you can't recall the Dhamma just by thinking about it, contemplating it, reflecting it, and then being inspired by it, recite it. So this could be mental, this could be verbal. Obviously, when you're meditating with others, you may want to do it somewhere else where it's not disturbing other people if you're doing it verbally. But what does this mean? One little trick that I like to do with reference to this is to actually go through the links of dependent origination, forward and reverse, and actually go through that process and say, with what as condition does suffering arise? Birth as condition, suffering arises. With what as condition does birth arise? Becoming as condition, birth arises. With what as condition does becoming arise? Clinging as condition, becoming arises. With what as condition does clinging arise? With craving as condition, clinging arises. With what as condition does craving arise? With feeling as condition, craving arises. With what as condition does feeling arise? With contact as condition, feeling arises. With what as condition does contact arise? With the six sense bases as condition, contact arises. So when you're doing this process, you're starting to work the cog in the machine of the mind, right? So you're actually going through the Dhamma. Doesn't have to be that. It could be transcendental dependent origination. With what as condition does the knowledge of liberation happen? With liberation, the knowledge of liberation happens. With what as condition does liberation happen? With dispassion, liberation happens. With what as condition does dispassion arise? With disenchantment as condition, dispassion arises. With what as condition does disenchantment arise? With yata buddha jnana dasam, the knowledge and vision of things as they actually are, does disenchantment arise, and so on. You can do it with the enlightenment factors. When there is mindfulness, what arises? Discernment. When there's discernment, what arises? Energy. With energy, joy. With joy, tranquility. With tranquility, collectedness. With collectedness, equanimity. So when you do this, you're starting to not only, create this activity in the mind that starts to sweep away the drowsiness, but you're inspiring yourself again with the Dhamma. But if you cannot abandon your drowsiness in such a way, you should pull both ears and rub your limbs with your hands. By such means, it is possible that your drowsiness will be abandoned. In India, this doesn't happen in schools as far as I know, and I haven't really experienced much of it, but I do recall when I was much, much younger and very mischievous, both at home and in school, you would get this punishment where you would have to do this and squat up and down. And the deeper understanding with that is when you rub your ears, this is actually creating some kind of pressure related to the brain, related to the mind, related to memory. So it's quite possible that this is what's going on. Pulling both ears, rubbing your limbs. What does that mean? You're starting to create some circulation. So another thing you can do is walk, as we will see. But if you cannot abandon your drowsiness in such a way, you should get up from your seat, rub your eyes with water, survey all the quarters, and look up at the constellations and stars. By such means, it is possible that your drowsiness will be abandoned. So, can't do any of that? Go and wash your face, preferably with cold water. Creates this nice, refreshing sort of response. And when you do that, go around, look around your surroundings, maybe go outside, and if it's nighttime, look at the stars. The idea is you take in some fresh air. When you're looking up at the constellations, you get inspired, you get elevated, you become buzzed, and you go back and sit. But if you cannot abandon your drowsiness in such a way, you should attend to the perception of light. You should undertake the perception of day thus, as by day, so at night, as at night, so by day. Thus, with a mind that is open and uncovered, you should develop a mind imbued with luminosity. By such means, it is possible that your drowsiness will be abandoned. The perception of light. This is interesting because we talk about light in many different ways in the suttas, primarily 4 or 5 different ways, if I recall correctly. The Buddha says, and he calls these obhasas, right? So the first light is the light of fire. And brighter than that is the light of the moon. And brighter than that is the light of the sun. And brighter than that is the light of wisdom. So if it is daytime, you can walk outside and sit in the sun, preferably where there is some covering, where there is some shade, but be out in natural daylight. This also helps to elevate the mind. But suppose it's nighttime and you're feeling drowsy. Depending on the time, you can either go out again and watch the stars if there are stars, but generally now we are, living in places where we have light pollution. We can't really see any stars. So the Buddha talks about an internal light, the light of wisdom. But this light of wisdom is shedding light on darkness of ignorance. So it may be that you may review again what you know, what you have understood, what you have intuited, what you have wisely seen. And for some people, what they do is they, again, go into and perceive light in the mind. Some people can do this quite automatically. Another thing is to, and this is something that you don't want to do too often because it can create a lot of singular one-pointedness, and that is to look at a flame, look at a candle flame. That creates energy in the mind, but don't do it so often. It's not something that you want to replace your practice with. But he talks about you should develop a mind imbued with luminosity. What do we mean by luminosity? Clarity of mind, the clear nature of wisdom mind, the intuitive mind, coming back into the space where verbal thoughts cease. And it's easy as just relaxing into the moment, allowing your mind to be reflective in its mindfulness. Relaxing back into the moment and observing what sounds, if any, are arising, what sensations, if any, are arising, what thoughts, if any, are arising. And when you do this, your mind becomes alert. And therefore, what you are doing is regaining mindfulness, bringing up discernment, and having energy, which will eventually translate to joy and tranquility and so on. And this is luminosity. Luminosity is the natural presence of mind without any artificiality, without any contrivance, without any effort, just to relax back into the awareness of awareness. And then there's nothing to do. But if you cannot abandon your drowsiness in such a way, you should undertake the exercise of walking back and forth, perceiving what is behind you and what is in front, with your sense faculties drawn in and your mind collected. By such means, it is possible that your drowsiness will be abandoned. So walking around, doing some walking meditation, or not even doing walking meditation, just walking around and looking at things around you, but not getting distracted by them. Having a mind that is collected, having a mind that is mindful in each moment. Walking back and forth can also mean literally walking backwards. I've given this to people where they walk backwards, and when they do that, they're more what? They're more attentive, they're more collected. And when they're more attentive and more collected, the mind starts to become brighter. But if you cannot abandon your drowsiness in such a way, you should lie down on the right side in the lion's posture with one foot overlapping the other, mindful and clearly comprehending, after noting in your mind the idea of rising. When you awaken, you should get up quickly, thinking, I will not be intent on the pleasure of rest, the pleasure of sloth, the pleasure of sleep. Is in this way, Moggallana, that you should train yourself. All else fails, take a nap. But don't take a 3-hour nap. Take a 20-minute nap, right? We have the modern day invention of something called coffee and tea. And some people might say, oh, well, we're getting dependent on that. Sometimes you need it. Use it as medicine. Take a small shot of espresso, take a nap, get up. You will be buzzed. So, therefore, Moggallana, you should train yourself thus. We will not approach families for alms with a head swollen with pride It is in this way, Moggallana, that you should train yourself. It may be Moggallana. So now the content is switching to something deeper. It may be, Moggallana, that bhikkhus approach families with a head swollen with pride. Now there are chores to be done in the families, and for this reason, when the bhikkhu turns up, people may not pay attention to him. In such a case, the bhikkhu might think, who has turned this family against me? It seems these people have now become indifferent toward me. In this way, through lack of gain, one feels humiliated. When feeling humiliated, one becomes restless. When one is restless, one loses one's restraint. The mind of one without restraint is far from concentration, from focus. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Go to places and people without expectation, and more importantly, with gratitude. I'm not saying I'm perfect. There are times when I have had a head swollen with pride and I expect something and it doesn't happen, and I get frustrated. And I immediately see and say, well, that sucks, and try to recover from it. But more often than not, I have the good fortune of being a traveler, somebody who goes around teaching the Dhamma. And I will continue to do that probably until my last breath, but we'll see how it goes. And more often than not, I have the generosity of my fellow practitioners who will invite me to their home or let me stay at a place. And I accept that with gratitude and with loving kindness. And I have a great time. I have a wonderful time. But suppose I went there with, yeah, I deserve this. I should get this. Yeah, they should make me breakfast. They should do this. They should do that. And nothing like that happens. Then I'll get pissed off because I have too many expectations. And such it is in life. No expectations. Easier said than done. But the nature of the thinking mind is to, what do I get out of this? And that's the worldly mind, right? Leave that towards finance. Leave that towards transactions. Leave that towards those kinds of things. But even there, if you just put your head down, do what you have to do, then the fruits of your action will be whatever it is. And when you do it with an attitude of patience and gratitude and loving kindness, really that in itself makes the action fulfilling. When you have contentment, you have no expectations. And so anything that comes your way, supposedly small or big or whatever it may be, becomes a delight, becomes the icing on the cake, the cherry on the top. And when you do this, your mind does not become agitated. It doesn't look towards the different vicissitudes of life, and it becomes content in each moment. Therefore, Moggallana, you should train yourself thus. You will not engage in contentious talk. It is in this way that you should train yourself. When there is contentious talk, an excess of words can be expected. When there is an excess of words, one becomes restless. When one is restless, one loses one's restraint. The mind of one without restraint is far from concentration, from focus. What do we mean by contentious talk? Contentious talk could be debates, arguments. No, this is not what it says in the suttas. No, this is not what the Buddha said. Or no, this is not how I understand the Dhamma. This is what my teacher told me. This is what I read. And this is what's true. This is what's untrue. Or anything as simple as, yeah, I put the dishes in the dishwasher last night. What are you talking about? So it's this contentious talk. It's like trying to win an argument all the time. I've done this many times and I've experienced that same thing. An excess of words can be expected. In the past couple of years, I have had the misfortune of being public in many different things. When you're a Dhamma teacher, which is something I do not wish on any of you, for your good fortune is to shut up when you need to shut up. Be quiet when you need to be quiet. And I have learned that the hard way, because when you deal with contentious talks, when you go, especially making an ass out of yourself in public, you use different kinds of words and you don't realize how they come off. And then later your mind becomes agitated and your mind becomes restless. And then you lose restraint and you don't have concentration. So what is the solution to this? Noble silence. Keep your mind and your mouth shut and quiet. Moggallana, I do not praise bonding with everyone, whatever or whatsoever, nor do I praise bonding with no one at all. I do not praise bonding with householders and monastics, but I do praise bonding with quiet and noiseless lodgings, far from the flurry of people, remote from human habitation and suitable for seclusion. So what the Buddha is saying here is that really he's not saying that we shouldn't or we should. We need to have discernment. We need to be in spaces where we need seclusion. We don't need to be around people all the time. But at the same time, and this is something that I know Mante Kusala told me about in Sri Lanka, when one of the monastics goes into seclusion, they may go into a kuti, into a hut deep in the forest. But they are required to come back into the life of their chores, making sure that they're getting their meals and so on. Why? So that others can keep an eye on them to make sure that this person has not lost their mind. Because that can happen when you're isolated. We are a social species. We need to be around people for us to feel the good feelings that we feel. That is the whole point of having beautiful friendship. But what the Buddha says here is when we bond too much, this can create distractions. This can take us away from our practice. And this depends on your specific life situation. What you ought to do and what you ought not to do is up to you. What makes sense is up to you. But it also is up to you to know, hey, I need some alone time. And when I have this alone time, my mind will feel unagitated. I can take some time to rest, relax, and contemplate. When this was said, the Venerable Moggallana said to the Blessed One, briefly, Bhante, how is a bhikkhu liberated in the extinction of craving, best among devas and humans? One who has reached the ultimate conclusion, one ultimate security from bondage. What is the other thing? Lived the ultimate spiritual life and gained the ultimate consummation. Here, Moggallana, a bhikkhu has heard, nothing is worth holding on to. Nothing is worth holding on to. I have said this many times with reference to the three characteristics. When you realize that everything in our existence is conditioned, with this as condition, this arises. When this condition falls apart, so too does this fall apart. And therefore, what we are seeing is the instability of experience, instability of existence. And this is the real translation, true translation, according to me, of what anicca means. Oftentimes it's seen as impermanent. That's one shade of it. But life in general is unstable. And once we come to terms with that, we let go of any objects and just see that for what they are. And when we do this, we also realize that indeed anything we take as an object, any intention that we have will ultimately lead to its instability, will ultimately lead to dukkha. And so what do I say? Nothing is worth holding on to, which means what? Letting go of any experience with the sense of this is me, this is mine, this is myself. I always say experience everything fully without the sense of me, mine, or myself. And the instructions therein are from the Baha'ya Sutta. In the seeing, there's only the seen. In the hearing, there's only the heard. In the sensing, there's only the sensed. In the cognizing, there's only the cognized. When there is no you in that, and there is no you before that, and when there is no you after that, when there is no here or there or in between the two, which means you have let go of contemplating what it is with the sense of self, and just allow experience to flow fluidly, naturally, in the way that it will. Just that is the end of suffering. And so the Buddha says, when one has heard nothing is worth holding on to, he directly knows all things. Having directly known all things, he fully understands all things. Having fully understood all things, what does this mean? He has directly known all things. He has seen through the experience as from a disenchanted mind, from a dispassionate mind, because he has the knowledge and vision of things as they actually are. He fully understands all of those things. He has contemplated and seen for himself. And so whatever one feels, whether pleasant, painful, or neutral, they dwell contemplating impermanence in those feelings, contemplating fading away in those feelings, contemplating cessation in those feelings, contemplating relinquishment in those feelings. As he dwells contemplating impermanence, the instability, the anicca, the seeing of the experience coming and fading away, the cessation of that experience, the letting go of that experience, he does not cling to anything or anyone in the world. You don't have any sort of association, rationale, clinging, or anything. You remain fluid. Your mind's attention remains clear, luminous, and fluid. Not clinging, he is not agitated, not go in one or the other direction. Being unagitated, he personally attains nibbana. Nibbana is here and now, always available to us, but only if we learn how to truly relax. To come back into this moment and let go of all conceptual proliferation, to let experience be as it is, to let attention be neither inside or outside or in between the two, and let it be completely free and luminous. In that space is Nibbana. And so one understands destroyed is birth. The spiritual life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more coming back to any state of being. Briefly, Moggallana, it is in this way that a bhikkhu is best among devas and humans, one who has reached the ultimate conclusion, one ultimate security from bondage, lived the ultimate spiritual life, and gained the ultimate consummation. Any questions? I'm trying to escape the light. There we go.
You can't get away from the light.
I know. I'm so lit up.
I wonder if this is a talk to Moggallana before he was an arhat.
It's quite possible. It's quite possible. We'll have to look into it. But yeah.
I mean, he was an arhat like within 7 days. So
I mean, how much was the Buddha really instructing him, in those 7 days?
I mean, the whole sutta's instructions to him as though he doesn't know. But I mean, there's also the case, I think, Mahakassapa, where there'd be instruction. He would ask a question to the Buddha, and the Buddha would say, but Mahakassapa already knew the answer. He was just
It's for the sake of
to show people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's quite possible.
But I have to tell you that one of those, well, a few of those things in there really hit home.
Uh-huh.
If you're in the Starbucks line, you know, and the person in front of you is just taking too long, of course they're, oh, I don't know where my credit card is, and then you start to feel like, restless,
Yeah.
frustrated, what's going on? And I was just realizing that really it's conceit. I am better. You should hit me first.
Yeah.
But this restlessness, it's just so quick to arise. You
Yeah.
expect service
Yeah.
immediately from anywhere, anybody. Um, so that's one expectation that we have to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah. Yeah, conceit really is the glue for the higher fetters. When there's conceit, restlessness can arise. When there's conceit, there's a sense of I need to experience this particular state, whether it's the form realms or the formless realms. And and because of that, the mind can falter and become agitated, and we lose our focus. So yeah, um, can we? That's the lesson for all of us. Can we approach things by just being in the moment and without any kind of reflection on I need to do this right now, or this person needs to serve me right now, or whatever it is, and be completely content in the moment. Looks like there is a question here. uh can Delson remind us the exact definition of conceit? So the way I like to define conceit is, it comes from the word mana, which means to measure. And so we're measuring up our egos with the other, whether I'm better than someone, or when we get into victimhood, I'm worse off than others. And, oh, I'm a terrible person. Oh, I did this and I did that. Or even the sense of equality. I am equal to these people, because there's still the I am. And the I am is essentially the protection mechanism that is natural to the mind, that requires or seeks stability in an otherwise always unstable world. Yes, Patty.
Yeah, going back to the beginning of that sutta, um, I don't say never, have rarely experienced sloth and torpor. My primary hindrance is the wandering wandering mind. Even when I'm in a good meditation period, the mind tends to wander off like it does. And I found, well, let me ask you, that is a skillful means to return to where I want to be, is to recall the Indriya or the enlightenment factors and go through them. Like yesterday, I was doing walking meditation, and it was later in the day, and there was a lot of meditation, and so because I know the Metta Sutta, I didn't say it out loud, but I said it in my mind, the Metta Sutta, which really, of course,
Mhm.
may all beings be at ease, may all beings be free from suffering, and so forth. So those are certainly skillful means, but I guess I'm asking how to balance it, how to not just stay there in the recollection of the Dhamma, but to use it to, I guess, to return to the collectedness of the meditation.
The key here, and I would encourage you to do this, because this is a great way of looking at it, is when you get restless and what you're doing is you're redirecting your attention to something that allows you to become collected again.
Mhm.
And what is required here, I would suggest, is discernment. And what is discernment? Discernment is checking in with yourself and
Yeah.
being like, okay, where's the mind now? What's going on now? Because there was discernment when you realize that the mind is wandering around. And so with that discernment, you decided to take an effort to look into the enlightenment factors or anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
And then you sense that the mind is collected by checking in with yourself. Okay, where's my mind now? What is the quality of my mind now? It is
Okay.
collected. and I can direct my attention back to the object.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? I guess not.
Somebody has got a question. Somebody give us an example of how these things have happened to you. I mean, this sutta is really, I think, really brilliant because he's listing out everything. I think it's good to think about it. Somebody's got an example of how that sutta's happened with them. Anybody?
I have an example.
Okay.
My example would be when I'm shopping with the conceit, when I'm shopping at Jewel and the person in front of me is checking out. And I don't know if you guys know, up there, I'm in Chicago, and the Jewel, you can use your phone to get special discounts off of stuff. And people don't do it. So, of course, the price that's being charged is different, and there ensues an argument. And I only have 3 things, and I don't understand why this person is so whatever that I have to wait now another 5 minutes till someone runs and checks the price. And then I remember that was me 6 months ago. And then I remember the conceit, on the other hand, how shameful and embarrassed I was because I couldn't get it right. So within the Jewel checkout, I get experiences of the practice all the time. So it's amazing how quickly the mind goes and starts judging and critiquing, and whether I'm the one behind or I'm the one out there. And then what's interesting is sometimes I'll find myself going to the self-checkout just so I don't get annoyed. So there's no possibility of getting annoyed.
That's one way of doing it, yeah. It occurred to me when you were saying this that it just shows the fragility and instability of the sense of self, in the sense that we think that, we know who we are. We think that we know what we are. We think we, have a sense of identity, or have a sense of, this is me, this is who I am. But it's always fluctuating. And it is in that fluctuation that we identify ourselves, that causes us to have these disturbances as well. I mean, taking your example of seeing yourself 6 months ago or 3 months ago or whatever it might be, and then comparing it to now, and then seeing that, you realize, oh, it is fluctuating. The sense of self is always fluctuating. So what are we really holding on to? We're holding on to something that just continuously, we're grasping, and it just flows past our fingers. And I think one of the best ways to deal with that is to acknowledge it, accept that. And, in those moments that we're annoyed and we're like, okay, can this person hurry up? Or, can I get my order? And all of these things. That in itself is not the concern. That in itself is not the concern. But what might be the concern is, how do I deal with it? How do I acknowledge it, accept it, and maybe learn from it, but maybe let go of it? Can I use those moments as trigger points of wisdom rather than as trigger points of craving? Can I say, oh, here I am getting annoyed, here I am getting upset. Okay, can I relax back? Can I accept that I'm upset in this moment, but can I allow the process of the chain of reaction not to happen in terms of the links of dependent origination? Easier said than done, but every moment of annoyance, every moment of irritation, even every moment of too much joy, when we're having too much of a good time, can we come back to our senses and say, hey, this too shall pass?
I
Yes.
wanted to make a comment. I forgot how to raise my hand on this thing, but anyway, so I've started just laughing at myself, because if we're not the doer anyway, then there's these innate tendencies or habits. So I mean, impatience arises and you go, oh, look at me, I'm still, it's kind of funny, so, so it's kind of, I don't know, I've changed it to no, I shouldn't be like that too. Oh, how funny, look at this
Yeah,
clown, or something like that, like, because that's what the little girl does. I mean, she's just like that. She's impatient, she's this, she's that. That's not, it seems like those are tendencies from, and I don't think they're necessarily going to go away, but I can laugh.
right.
Yeah.
This is so vital, and thank you for sharing that because this reminds me, and I should remind all of us of what Bhante would always say. Being able to laugh at yourself, being able to laugh at your mind, being able to laugh at the absurdity of the things that come and go from your mind. And when you do that, it goes from, as he would say, it goes from, oh, this thing, to, oh, it's only this, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just comical to see how advanced we're not. You know, you know. It's very, you know, humbling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, to think further about the line issue, I was just thinking, there's, first of all, look, I'm very important. I have much to do, and why am I being held up? And then the next thing is, oh, I mean, you're restless. I got to go. I mean, come on, let's go. And you got to ask yourself, where the heck is it that you're going? You know,
Exactly.
you've spent an hour shopping. Another 20 minutes isn't going to kill you. And do you actually have to get home? Is there anything there to do? Probably not. Uh, so this whole process, you have to pick it apart.
Yeah.
And I think that we should make a determination that every time we get into a line, we make it, a Dhamma meditation
Yeah.
and the, and watch for that first moment
Yeah.
where the mind gets disturbed. Because at times you can see that and you'll go, well, that ain't me. Because ultimately it's some process that happens without your control. And it's like, oh, it's not even me. So I'll just
Yeah.
shut up and stand here. So,
But also, isn't the line what we're doing at that moment? I mean, we're not somewhere else. So impatience,
Yeah.
doesn't have to be there.
no, it's an irrational impatience. I
Yeah.
have to go.
Yeah. But where? What's the rush?
No,
What
it's
are you
just restless. It's the
Yeah.
nature of restlessness. I have to go. Well, if you're sitting, I have to get up and do something, or I can't take it anymore, or well, that's more like aversion. But there's this. It's I have to become.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I
That's the
have
big,
to be.
yeah. And it's so funny that is funny sometimes, when you're like, you have to go and you want to go and sit, and that could be the objective. And, there are things getting in the way of that. And you're like, I have to finish my chores, I have to do this, I have to do that, and now I can sit. And then as soon as you sit, what happens? Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. I don't want to sit now, and I got to do that. So it's the mind is constantly going, anticipating the next moment, the next moment, the next moment. So it is a constant retraining. It is a constant retraining. Standing in line is actually a great, great practice.
Yeah, I'd like to give a hooray for the paramis. One of the best ones is Kanti, patience.
Yeah.
And that's why they're called the 10 perfections, right? So very valuable. Also, I have an acronym for you for
Yeah.
the talking thing. Wait, why am I talking? It comes from another discipline, but
But
relevant.
it's useful. That's very useful. Yeah. What am I doing? Why am I talking? Yeah. That is great. Bill.
Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know that if you click on your area on the Zoom screen, there's 3 dots and there's a hide self view.
You can also turn the camera off.
it's great. It just really improved my meditation a lot.
Hide
Hide
self-view
self-view.
it's for the techies. The other people just like turn it off.
The other thing I was going to say is one issue with sleepiness I have is like in the afternoon. Sometimes I think, well, now I could take a nap or I could meditate, and
Yeah.
usually I could take a nap wins out. Actually,
The afternoons, I think, are generally a time when we as humans physiologically just want to uh, take time away and not do anything. I mean, it's the afternoon slump, and I think we should be able to listen to our physiology and listen to our bodies. And if we need to take that nap, especially after a heavy meal. That happens. But going for a walk is even better. And then seeing how you feel.
that's a good one. Take the dog out for a walk.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I have a question as well.
Yeah.
I don't know how to raise my hand on Zoom yet, so just did this way. But if you're in line and you're, in that mindset and you're trying to 6R essentially, what should be your focus or your refocus essentially? Because I know like during meditation what I'm focusing on, but if I'm in that state, like what should I focus on?
It can be anything. It could be compassion for the idiot in front of you who's taking too long. Right. It could be equanimity. It could be loving kindness. It could be whatever it is. Patience, yeah. Like, can I watch my mind? The mind itself as an object. Can I watch my mind and say, what am I feeling in this moment? And having that awareness of what's coming and going.
Yeah, I'll just jump in here and say that Bhante V would always suggest loving kindness.
Yeah.
That was his go-to. And he would go throughout Asia and his alms round. I mean, he would just practice loving kindness just constantly. And Delson, if you look at the next sutta, it's 62. Bhikkhu Bodhi did that one yesterday. I was at his little session.
Uh-huh.
And it's a great one about how much merit is made.
Oh yeah.
It's unbelievable the power of wholesome states. And so it's if
Maybe
if
we
you
should do
don't
that.
yeah
David, what's the number of that sutta?
it was so
The one that we did today is Anguttara Nikaya 7.61.
yeah,
And the one,
it's 62.
this one is 62 that
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
sharing merit
Yeah.
or just merit.
Thank you.
And it's interesting to read.
yeah. Well, I've got a stowaway here. My good friend John, whose place I'm staying at due to his generosity. He has a question, so he's gonna ask the question.
It's on the spectrum of things to do if you're sloth and torpor. The changing meditation object, throwing water on the face, contemplating. It strikes me that most of these are for subtle dullness, subtle it's like you're really there, but there's that you're not making good contact. And for me, most of the time, my dullness, just because the way I lead my life, I'm rushing around like a fool so much that it's coarse dullness. I need it. I need the last option. I need sleep. And I think it's useful to recognize how much we need sleep.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then what 15-minute, half-hour nap, sometimes it's going to be helpful, but like when I go into retreat, I find, well, the first day I might as well just assume I need to sleep 6 hours and then go to bed at the normal time. Because it's that shift in pace it takes you out of balance. If I'm running around, and then I say, oh, now I'm going to stop. Oh, that takes that's a balancing act. And it's going to require a lot more sleep than that.
Mm.
So I'm a big proponent of taking sleep as the first step.
Yeah, I like that. I think during retreats, it's so important. And this is something that we will always talk about on retreats for beginners and advanced people alike, is make sure you're getting enough sleep. And for some people, it is that case. So maybe most people that, as you rightly say, it's a change of pace when we come to some place like Dhamma Sukha or a retreat area. And we've spent the time traveling. We spend the time with the stressors of traveling and getting to the place, and getting up at odd times, possibly for flights. So we should give ourselves a couple of days at least to kind of just recalibrate. And if sleep is required, then sleep is required. Anyone else?
Well, if there's nothing else, I want to remind everybody we have put up the retreat dates at Dhamma Sukha for next year, and Delson will be doing now. We've just added a fourth one, I believe it's fourth in August, and so there's going to be 4 retreats with Delson, and a number of them are already halfway full, and it's barely November, so you might want to get in there and get your place. But we're gonna have a really long retreat season next year, and everything should be quite nice. We've got our facility, we have our new study center, we're furnishing it now, and things are good. Things are good. So
Yeah. It looks like Inez was asking, are there online retreats with Delson? Indeed, there are.
oh,
I'm
absolutely.
conducting one right now as we speak. Do you want to just share that link? Because there
I
are
will. Yeah.
spaces open for
Yeah,
the next
there's a bunch.
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me find that here. Okay.
I think December, are there options for December still open?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a few spots left, and then the next one we start is February. So we have February, March, and April, possibly, I think. Yeah.
April.
You can see it on the link. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got space on those.
Yeah.
Where did you send the link, David?
Into the chat?
Into the chat here. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, I'm hungry and I'm going to go have some breakfast. So I'm going to see you guys next week.
Thank you.
All right. Wait a minute. We have to share our merit.
Yeah, yes, that's right.
Because, of course, now there it is. Okay. Bhikkhu Bodhi shares merit as well. He shares it in Pali, but it is the same thing. You can hear in the Pali, Devas and Nagas.
Yeah.
It's all quite the same.
Do we know which sutta it's from or which part of the Pali Canon it's from? It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's a parita. It's a chant, and I've seen it. It's in a number of the books. I don't know about sutta though.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, we'll share some merit then. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.